Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 1225, Wednesday, August the 19th, 2020. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, just a couple of news items, if I can say the word, a couple of news items to report today, covering the past 24 hours of Spygate news. Not much to report, but there is one, I think, very significant thing to talk about today for a few minutes. I suspect that there are many of you out there who follow Conservative Treehouse and have been following Sundance and what has been going on with Sundance. I assume Sundance is a he, but I don't know. It could be a she. Without giving you too much background, I assume most of you know what I'm talking about. Sundance has been following the coup plot since the very beginning and has done a lot of great work on the plot. And you know he's had some things going on here in the past couple of months that we don't know a lot about, but it has to do with him taking evidence directly to various people who are supposedly either investigating or reporting on the Spygate coup. He has been threatening for the past several weeks that if certain things don't happen, that he's going to come out and start exposing some people and some names, media organizations, and various other people. And yesterday, he did exactly what he said he was going to do. He dropped the name of the actual investigator. This is according to Sundance, reporting on this. The name of the actual investigator, who is actually the Durham investigation. And the name he is giving us is a name that many of us would be familiar with. It's former FBI agent and now New Haven, Connecticut attorney William Oudenberg, Aldenberg. William Oudenberg. That is who Sundance says is the actual investigator that's running the investigation for John Durham. Sundance says that there will be more to come in 24 hours. Now, Oudenberg's name first popped up back during Sandy Hook. He was apparently one of the first people on the scene after the Sandy Hook event took place, the shooting up there. And he was one of the people who became kind of nationally known, got a high profile, when he joined four of the families who sued Alex Jones for claiming that Sandy Hook was all a hoax. So, I don't know what to think. Again, I like reading Conservative Treehouse. I do follow Sundance. Most of the time, I'm down with what Sundance reports on. I really don't know 100% whether I would go along with this or not. It's too early to tell. But Sundance is reporting that there are various investigative teams, that he has briefed them, and that he says essentially what he's finding is that all these investigative teams have each individual pieces of the puzzle, but none of them actually communicate or work together to share what they have. So it's kind of discombobulated. So he has effectively briefed each of these investigative teams. But more importantly, he's suggesting in his article yesterday that he has briefed Oudenberg and given him all the pieces to the puzzle. And if you've been following Sundance, he ties in everything that's going on with the coup plot. He ties a lot of it into covering for the Senate Intelligence Committee and their leaking, their participation in the leaking of the dossier to James Wolfe, to his girlfriend, who then, of course, publishes the article. He also ties it all together in a much larger conspiracy with the 702 queries, suggesting that what was being done was a lot of insider trading. that the 702 queries were really mostly about getting inside information, trader information, and that was being used by people, politicians, and various other people in the know, in the 1%, I guess you would say, this very small group of elitists who were using information coming from the 702 queries, using that to do insider trading, whereby they made lots and lots of money. And that this is like the overall conspiracy. And that everything else that was going on was done to cover that up. And that Trump or what have you could have put this whole thing in jeopardy. And that that's what they're really trying to protect. And that is an interesting theory. I think it has credibility. How much it's connected to Trump or whatever, I don't know. I don't have enough information to make that call, but it certainly is interesting and worth considering. Sundance also says that he has briefed various media organizations and provided them with all the pieces to the puzzle. In fact, the fully assembled picture of what the puzzle should look like. He says that he's going to give these various media outlets a certain amount of time to report the information he's given them, and that if they do not act in good faith and report on it, then he is going to blow the whistle on them and report to all of us who these media organizations are, that he's given the full picture to. He's given the full puzzle to, I guess you would say. So we'll stand by and continue to wait and see what happens with Sundance and to see what materializes from that. But in general, reading what he wrote yesterday on Conservative Treehouse doesn't give you tremendous confidence that the Durham investigation is quite as competent as we're all being led to believe it is. So we will just have to wait and see what happens here. But again, Sundance is saying that the person who's actually running the investigation is this New Haven, Connecticut attorney, former FBI guy, William Altenberg. Sundance has briefed Mr. Altenberg and given him the full picture. He has also briefed various media organizations, given them the full picture. And this is where he is at today. And he says to stand by, that there's more to come. Excuse me. So we will continue to follow what's going on with Sundance. And I'll do my best to put it into perspective along with everything else that we talk about here. Again, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of moving parts. I really have no reason to doubt Sundance. But I don't know that this thing is... I do believe that this is much bigger and complex than any one person can possibly wrap their mind around. Including Durham and Barr and whoever else. Mainly what my interest is what I do know is that they tried to take out Trump in a coup. And what I do want is all the people who were involved in that coup to be sent to jail. As far as plots with insider trading and all these other things, that would be absolute icing on the cake. And should certainly be exposed if all that is true, and I have no reason to doubt that. But I stay mostly focused on the Trump coup and try not to get too distracted with all these things in the peripheral. But I have a certain amount of respect and admiration for Sundance and the work that he's done. So I continue to follow Sundance and put a certain amount of interest that way and a certain amount of credence to what he says. However, I do want to stay on focus and on track with what I primarily am focused on, which is the coup. Why the coup happened? Yes, that's important. I think there's a lot of reasons why. It could be something extraordinary, like what Sundance is talking about. But at the end of the day, I don't know that I really give a damn. I do, but what I care mostly about is making sure the people who tried to pull off the coup against Trump and are still working on that are sent to jail and exposed. That's my main drive. Anything else and beyond that is icing on the cake. I'm all good with it. But I want the cake. I want the cake. The icing would be nice, but I want the damn cake. Yesterday, we also had the Senate Select Intelligence Committee release their fifth installment and their final installment of their investigation into the Trump-Russia collusion. Of course, we're talking about the Senate Intelligence Committee, so I can tell you that the entire thing is bullshit. I read a brief summary of it, 2 paragraphs. It's all I needed to read. It's exactly what we would expect. Now, they had no choice but to come out with a finding that there was no Trump-Russia collusion. Huh, you think so? Mueller reached that conclusion a hell of a long time ago. And since then, we've had, it's been almost a year since the Horowitz investigation. Pointed out all the other problems. I'm sure the Senate Intelligence Committee stayed away from that, other than to say, well, they shouldn't have taken the dossier so seriously. But the Trump team members, Trump and his team, they have some responsibility here because they were saying things that probably gave the Russians the impression that they would be easy targets. They also continue to buy in to the idea of the DNC hacks. The Russians hacked the DNC, and WikiLeaks released it, and the whole 9 yards. So the Senate Intelligence Committee is giving us the bullshit. They're still running with the narrative, the false narrative. These people suck. I wouldn't, give any credence to it whatsoever. It's just, it's meaningless. It's absolutely meaningless. There's nothing that the Senate Intelligence Committee report shows us that we didn't already know about the dossier being a fraud and that there was no Trump-Russia collusion. But everything else, the old official narrative, they're still running with it. It's just another cover-up. Of course, we know the Senate Intelligence Committee is the most corrupt committee in the entire U.S. Congress. They are the gatekeepers for the deep state. You will not ever benefit from anything that happens at the Senate Intelligence Committee. Notice, I'm sure, I didn't read it all, but if you do, I'm pretty sure there won't be a single word in there about the collaborations and things going on between Mark Warner, Mr. Waldman, Steele, Deripaska, or any of that. They won't talk about any of that. They won't talk about the James Wolfe leaks. They won't talk about any of that at all. It's a big cover-up, and it continues. That's what you need to know. Senate Intelligence Committee report is just an extension of the coup and part of the cover-up. Total bullshit. Not worth your time. Or mine. There is a very interesting story that came out yesterday about a new movie that's going to be coming out. It's a sort of a docudrama, and it's based on Lee Smith's book, Plot Against the President. And apparently it's a fairly high-level Hollywood mogul movie maker, his daughter, who has directed the film. Apparently her and her father are big supporters of Trump, know all about the hoax. And this apparently is going to premiere sometime in October. A movie version of Lee Smith's book, which I read through here on these TowerGate videos. I took chapter by chapter, and we went through chapter by chapter of Lee Smith's book right here on TowerGate. So I'll be looking forward to that. I don't know if this is going to be, shown in theaters or if it's going to just go to DVD or downloads, or I'm not sure exactly how this is going to be rolled out, what kind of, who's behind it, what kind of money is behind it to get it out there. But it's very interesting that this would come out, and it's a good thing. So we will look forward to seeing this film in October. I'm sure many of us will want to watch that in whatever form it comes out in. Be surprised to see it come out in theaters, but especially in October. But Anyway, I'd be looking forward to Lee Smith's book, The Plot Against the President, in movie form. Should be very good. And then we have Paul Sperry. Paul Sperry had a text yesterday, or 2 days ago actually, where he's bringing back something that came up a long, long time ago, is the fact that there's text messages that would suggest that Andy McCabe was also having some sort of a sexual romp with Loose Lisa Page. Now, I don't know if Loose Lisa was doing everyone in the upper tier of the FBI, but it appears she may have been doing both Peter's Been Stroking Us and Andy. And of course, we had learned that she was having difficulties in her marriage. I can't imagine why. Having difficulties in her marriage, and so she was actually living with the McCabes. Now, I don't know about what McCabe's wife is into or what McCabe's into. I don't know what these people are into. They're pretty freaky people. They're pretty crazy people. I don't even want to know what they're into. But anyway, that just makes the story a little freakier. There, Paul Sperry suggesting that McCabe having a relationship with Loose Lisa Page. It's not the first time we've heard that. It's first time we heard that goes back quite a ways, based on some text messages. So I don't know if that's important to anyone or not. It's kind of humorous. Other than that, I don't think there's anything. It's not, significant to anything that we really talk about here, as far as the crimes, the coup. But it's just another, thing that you can put in your pocket. Probably the most extraordinary thing that I saw yesterday happened last night. And at first I thought it was like a joke. I didn't even think it was serious. But then I dug into it just a little bit more and found out that it actually did happen. It did go down live. It actually did happen. It is true, and it's mind-boggling. But I'm sure most of you have seen it by now. AOC was only supposed to get, the wild-eyed commie was only supposed to get a 30-second spot at the DNC speech. Someone complained, I guess, and she ended up getting a 90-second spot. And what she does in that 90-second spot is that at the very end of her 90-second speech to the DNC at the convention, she literally endorses Bernie Sanders for president. She literally endorses Bernie Sanders for president. Does not endorse Biden. She literally endorses Bernie. Now you know why they didn't want her to speak. Now, I hope we find out what the backstory is here. I assume that had to go down live, because had that been pre-recorded, I can't imagine that the DNC and Biden would allow that to go live. I mean, it's a clear endorsement. She's not saying, I wish Bernie would be the nominee. No. She literally says, I'm endorsing Bernie, and not for 2024 either. Right now. So I can only assume that went down live, because even the Democrats are not that incompetent that they would let AOC endorse Bernie at the convention, at their, cyber convention, whatever you want to call it. Extraordinary moment. These are extraordinary times we're living in, by the way. So yes, AOC endorses Bernie. I'll be interested to see what the fallout and the feedback is on that 24 hours from now. Again, if in fact that was pre-recorded and they knew what she was going to say and they allowed that to happen, I can only conclude at this point that the Democrats have concluded that Biden cannot win and is not going to win, and that this is all they're just going through the motions, and that their primary focus will be on holding the Senate, or taking the Senate and trying to hold the House, giving up any hope, or not believing they have any hope whatsoever of winning the presidency. That is what that would tell me. I can't imagine that Biden would know that she is going to give her little speech, her minute and a half speech, and endorse Bernie, and let it happen, and let it go out live. That can't be possible. These people are not that incompetent. So we'll wait and see what the fallout is from that tomorrow. And of course, if there's any new news to report in TowerGate tomorrow, I'll certainly do that. Certainly be focused a lot on what's going on with Sundance over there at Conservative Treehouse in the next days and weeks to come. And of course tomorrow, or I should say today, we'll be expecting to see Kleinsmith plead guilty. I'm sure there'll be some follow-up to that. We may find out more about what he's doing as far as cooperating. And it's pretty much day by day right now. But the election's coming up. Barr has told us that he is going to make sure the American people know what happened. I take him at his word at this point. But we certainly are getting some mixed messages from what Sundance is reporting and from what we're being told by Barr. It's very, very confusing trying to sort through all of this. It's hard to know where the truth is, if there is any truth at all to be found in this world, other than what I try to bring you every day. But I'm subject to the same sources as all of you. I have no special sources. We have to hope there's a few honest people left in this world, and that a couple of them are in Washington. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. See you guys. Bye.